Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, there is so much to go through. I'm going to go straight into this. But before I do that, the usual disclaimer. Please remember all my videos are for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't claim to be an expert. Everything in this video is just my interpretation of what I see in the charts. Many times I'm wrong. Many times I'm right. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So please do your wider research before making any investment decisions. Now, with that out of the way, get your Snickers bars ready, get your cups of teas, and off we go with the most important chart that we will see in the next 24 to 48 hours, and that is the 21 weekly moving average. You have to watch this like a hawk for the next 2 days. We finished last week on right at the top of the 21 weekly moving average. Now, why that's important, as I mentioned many times in my videos, it's the talk of the town. Everybody knows the 21 weekly moving average is the most important moving average in the history of Bitcoin during a bull market. And we have never closed below this. But look what's happening now. Look where we are. We're right below the 21 weekly exponential moving average, and we have today and tomorrow to get back up above these levels. The current level of the 21 weekly is at 45,600. So what happens if we close below this level? Well, it's anybody's guess, to be honest with you, because we will be in uncharted territory. We've never had a close below these levels, and it could well be that it's a close which is short-lived, and so off we go again. But it all depends on how people will behave when they see that. Will they sell off? Will they be the weak hands that let their investments go? Or will they use that as an opportunity to buy at the low level to go up? So what happens when everybody is fearful like they are currently here? Well, let's have a look at the fear and greed index to give us some sort of an insight into what may happen. As of today, we have extreme fear here at the level of 12 on this index here. Only last month we had 65, which was greed level. And we've gone within a month from greed to extreme fear. This is where the smart investors pick up all the loose investments that people have let go. So for me, I think personally, this is what I would be doing, and this is what I have been doing, is to actually accumulate as much as I can at these levels. Always remember, whenever we have a correction, no one knows the depth of that correction. It could be 10%, it could be 20%, it could be 50%. And in our case here, that correction has been 53% at the moment. Now, is this alarming? Well, personally, having been in this space with Bitcoin for the last 4.5 years, this is not alarming at all. And the reason for that is historical. If you go back to the previous bull market here, we've had these types of corrections before. So if you take this correction here, that was 42%. If you take this correction here, that was 38%. And if you go further back, that was a 72% correction. So these types of corrections are all part and parcel of the bull market, as we know with the history of Bitcoin. And if you look at the actual shape of this correction, just like the corrections that we've had along the previous bull market, look at the shape of that. Look at the shape of that, and this, and that, and right at the top. These very severe corrections is exactly what we've had here now. We've had a smaller one here along the way, but this is a rather larger one. But this is certainly akin to similar ones we've had in the past. So for me anyway, this is nothing to be alarmed about. These are just buying opportunities. If you take the emotion out of all these things, then you will realize that these are wonderful opportunities to accumulate as much as you can so that we can go and reach our target which is here at $300,000 in the next few months. It may not seem like that at the moment, but this is where I'm expecting, and this is the target I've had for the last 3 years. And this correction has not changed my mind on our way up there. If we have a look at the monthly chart here, it tells us a very interesting picture, because currently we have 2 red candles here, and I've been mentioning the color of those candles all along these rising candles that we've had. And the reason why that's significant is simply because if you look at the previous bull market, there was only one time period when we had 2 red candles here. And in the previous bull market, again, there was just one time period when we had 2 red candles along the bull market. So now that this is out of the way, I'm certainly expecting the next candle here to be the green candle, if history is to repeat itself. And as we know, with the charts, history is always rhyming rather than repeating. So it's something similar that's going to happen. Yes, we can have a red candle, but more than likely, on a balance of probabilities, it's more than likely going to be a green candle. And so it looks to me as though we're now bottoming out on this candle in this month of May. And always remember, with charts, no one has a crystal ball to tell you exactly what is going to happen. All we can do is recognize that everything in the charts is to do with probabilities and possibilities, not certainties. Nothing is certain on the charts. And once we get that out of the way, we realize we'll make much better decisions. So we can read what the charts are telling us, and then on a balance of probabilities, make our judgments and make our decisions. So my decision currently is to be accumulating at these levels here. I could be totally wrong, of course, and the price could go much lower. But on the history of the charts, on the evidence that we have here, it does not seem likely that we'll have another red candle here. Just going back to the fear and greed index, currently we're at 12 and we've come down from 65. If we look at the chart here, it tells us a very interesting picture, because look at this. We tend to hold the level of 40 quite consistently all around here, all around here, all around here, all around here. But now we've fallen well below that. So there's obviously a lot of fear, a lot of weak hands being shaken out of the market. And guess who picks up these weak hands, the weak investments? It's all the very smart investors. So if you want to be a smart investor, this is where you get in. These are the levels you get out. But unfortunately, the majority of people will do the opposite. They tend to start accumulating more and more here because they can see the prices are going up, and then they start selling here because they're frightened that they're going to lose their investments. In the last video, I showed you this particular chart, and we were basically around here last week. And I said that it's unlikely to move down to this, but this is certainly on the table. That this level here, the 200 daily moving average, is on the table that we could reach here. It seemed unlikely, or the probability seemed much less, because we've bounced off the previous levels. But certainly we found support and resistance here. We're currently below this level here. So we'll just have to watch whether we break this further down, but certainly it would be unprecedented to actually go much further than this. Because if we look in history, in the last bull market, we did actually hit this green line, the 200 daily moving average. In this run up here, you can see we hit it once here and once here. So we had 2 occasions when we hit the 200 daily moving average. So it's not unprecedented, and that's why it's not a shock to me that we've now hit this again during this bull market here. Certainly my expectation is that we're going to be moving higher from these levels now. If we look at the log growth curve, which we've been looking at for many months now, it would seem as though we've got rejected at the 76.39 level here, which we've been talking about. But when you look at this on a smaller time frame, we didn't quite hit this level. However, the monthly chart would suggest that we've now got our correction at those levels, and we've now had a severe downturn from which we can now go back up. So when we now go back up here, it may not be that we have another correction at these levels. What this chart really tells me is that the top of the bull market certainly isn't in yet. we've not reached the top of the bull market, because that is the sign. When we reach the top of this line here, this Fibonacci retracement log growth curve, it's only when we hit the top line here, like we did there, that we will know that we have come to the top of the bull market, the blow off top that we've been looking for. Certainly, this would not suggest that we've now come to the end of this bull market. Many people are now talking about that, thinking that we've now come to the end of the bull market. I beg to differ, because what's in the charts is telling you otherwise. If you look left, it's clear that the top of the market goes to the top of this log growth curve there as well. So we must keep a lookout on this chart. When we make the turnaround, our next phase will be the parabolic phase, in my opinion. This is when we turn around from here towards the top of the bull market, wherever that's going to be. It can be anywhere around here. And certainly my target is the $300,000 mark. But that's just a ballpark figure. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more. But certainly the signs are all very, very clear that the structure of the market is playing out according to what's historically happened with Bitcoin. And that is that this nice correction is a great structural foundation for the bigger parabolic phase to come in the next few months. The next major correction I'm expecting is at this Bitcoin investor tool line here. We've already had a correction at this point here when the price was around about the 58,000 mark, when it fell down there. However, we're now over here, and as history has proven, that we will come back to the investor tool line and more than likely on a balance of probabilities get rejected again. That's what's happened repeatedly in the past, and we can expect that, as you can see from here, there, and there. So my expectation would be that when the next time we come up to this red line here, that we will probably have another major correction. Like I said many times, the depth of the correction is never known, but the prediction of a correction can be much more accurate. And this is what I'm expecting here. And obviously this blue line here, which is the granddaddy trend line that I've been drawing for many months now, this is the one that we're really going to be getting unstuck. Nobody's talking about it, but certainly anytime we hit this blue line here, you can expect a major correction. So for me anyway, my understanding is that we're going to have at least around about a 30 to 40 or 50% correction on this line here. Of course, it doesn't have to happen. It could ride right through it, and that is obviously a possibility. But history would suggest otherwise. As we know from here, the blue line, a massive rejection from there, as we can see. And as soon as we close below this rejection there, provided an incredible amount of support over a very long period of time over here. Further back, another period of support over here, very strong support over here, and obviously a strong rejection over here again. So this blue line, which stretches back 11 years, so this blue line stretches all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin, is going to play a major role here. We must not take our eyes off this for the next few months. This blue line, if you've got your charts, you should draw this in, because certainly I'm expecting it to hit this, and that would be a very good point to accumulate more investments, because when they come to this line here, that could provide an opportunity to sell and to buy back at lower levels. Everybody has to make their own decision on that. And as everyone knows, I'm a long-term investor, and I'm not decided as to what I'm going to be doing there, but certainly that is an opportunity that's waiting at those levels, around about the $110,000 to $130,000 mark there. If you want to support the channel, then please click on any of my videos, and then below the videos you'll find a box called Show More, which gives you a description box, and in that description box is the affiliate link with Etoro that I have. So I partner up with Etoro because that's the main exchange I use for all my investments. These are the reasons why I tend to use Etoro. It's a very simple exchange to use in terms of depositing money and withdrawing the money, as well as trading if that's what you want to do, as well as for long-term investing, which is what I tend to do. So if you want to support the channel, please click on the partnership link, and then what you'll do is you'll get this box here, and then you can basically put your username, email and password and just fill in the form there. If you like any of my videos and you find value in them, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. If we have a look at the pivots, it tells a very, very interesting story here, because what we found was that when we got rejected here at the $64,000 mark, we found support here on the S1 line here. We went back to the next pivot line here, found support on these levels here again around about the 48,000 mark, and now having gone through the next support line, we've now found very strong support on the S3 line, which is the support level here at around about the 30,000 mark. The reason why this is very, very interesting is that because if you do the Fibonacci retracement from where we are now, we can tell where the next double bottom is going to be with a very high degree of accuracy. It's not 100%, but it gives us a very good clue as to where this price is going here. Let me show you. We just got corrected from this last high was here, and this is our local low here. So if you take the price from here and do a Fibonacci retracement to the bottom of this support line, it gives us a 61.8 figure of 48,490. So let's call it 48,500 on this line here. So what I would be expecting in the next few days, possibly a week or so, I think it's going to happen much more quicker than people think. There's going to be a bounce from here to the Fibonacci 61.8 level to create this W around here. And then we're going to come back and create our second leg of the W over here, which will give us a double bottom. And that level from there, round here, will be, if we do the Fibonacci retracement from the reverse of that, from here to the 48,000, by taking the figure from here at the bottom to the 48,500 level there, and that will give us the level that when we come back from the second part of the W double bottom pattern will be around 37,000 here. So you need to draw these levels in here. So this is what I'm expecting now where we are. This is a shorter term time frame. This is a daily chart. In the next few days, this is my expectation that from where we are now, and the pivots are telling you a story here, this level is very, very important here at these levels. This level here around the 48,000 mark is telling us the recovery. Yes, we'll get a up and down recovery obviously, but the resistance level we're going to find is going to be around the $48,000 mark here, from where probably make our way down here towards the Fibonacci 61.8 level around these levels here, which I've said is going to be around about the 37,000 mark on our way down here before we have a proper full recovery. So this is what I'm expecting on the short term in the next few days. If we have a look at the short term time frame of the 4-hourly chart here, it seems to be bearing out a very similar pattern here, because if you could just draw your trend lines here, we can see that we're respecting this trend line here, and we're currently at this level here. It would be quite reasonable to suggest that when we come up to this line here, that after 1, 2, 3, on the fourth go, there is a very strong, reasonable chance that we'll break through here. And the question is, when we break through here, where will it go? And this is where the Fibonacci retracement comes in. And that's why that 48,000 level is very, very important. If you do the Fibonacci retracement from here at the top, the previous high, to this low here, again, it takes us to the 48,000 level here. So this is where it seems to be wanting to go to. This is the magnet. The 61.8 level is always a magnet for the Bitcoin price. And once we reach here, then on the way down, it's going to come back down to the 37,000 mark, create a double bottom before we go up there. And that will give us the double bottoming out pattern that you would expect at the bottom of a correction. Only time will tell, but this is what I see in the charts. I could be totally wrong, so please do your wider research. Don't make any investment decisions based on my analysis here. Do your wider research and then you can make up your own mind. One of the main reasons why I'm bullish with the Bitcoin price and that this correction that we've had here is not worrying for me is simply because the hash ribbons, if you look through the history of hash ribbons, they have been absolutely accurate for the last 11 years. And what we've just got here in the last few days is another buy signal. And if you look at any buy signal, you'll realize that we always seem to have an accurate picture with these buys, especially on the weekly chart. These are the daily chart ones. And I'm showing you this because we just hit this in the last few days. We got a buy signal here. So that doesn't mean that immediately the price will move up, but it's telling you that the minor capitulation is over. And now we're on our way to the upside. Yes, we can spend a few days down here, but certainly the trajectory of the Bitcoin price I would expect to be on the upside by looking at this signal here. If you look at this one here, look around there, it was certainly up to the sign here. This one again, this one. You can go in history all over the place, right back, and you'll see these are extremely accurate predictions in the history of Bitcoin. On this weekly chart on the BLX, the hash ribbons are absolutely amazing. If you haven't had a look at the hash ribbons on here, you really want to always zoom out and have a look at the bigger picture. And this is what helps me make a lot of very good decisions in this space here. We've had about 13 or 14 blue circles here. The blue circles are the buy signals here. So if you take it from here, this one, every single one of them has been accurate. So this one happened around here, and look what happened. We went on this trajectory. This was a confirmation, and this was another confirmation. So we had 3 or 4 blue dots at the beginning of this bull market here. All proved extremely accurate. We had none of this over here when there was a bear market. And then at the end of this bear market, we got this first blue mark here, which was telling you that we've now topped off in the bear market phase over here. And then the next 2 circles were your accumulation phases over here. And then this 4th one, remember we've got 4 here, then the 4th one here was really the trigger to go further. But the interesting thing here is that after the 4th signal here, we didn't get another one until the end of the bull market finished and we were into the bear market. Same thing happened here. We got our 4 blue circles, and after this one here, during the bull market and run up to the top of the bull market there, we didn't get another blue marker. But something extremely important has happened here. Something very different. We got our 4 circles here, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to this point. But this time, for the first time in the history of Bitcoin, we've had a 5th circle here. You can interpret that as you wish, but certainly these 4 blue circles have certainly predicted a massive rise in the current bull market. So is this blue circle, the blue buy here that we've just hit this in the last few days on the weekly chart, is this telling us that we've got a big run up coming up? Only time will tell, but that is how I'm seeing it, that this blue buy signal now is telling us there's a big leg up coming up. Only time will tell. I could be completely wrong, but that is what I'm seeing in the charts, and that's what I'm conveying to you. Maybe this is the one that's going to take us to the target that we've got here at 300,000. So very, very important. All these blue circles have been extremely accurate in the history of Bitcoin over the last 11 years. And we've just hit possibly the final buy signal this week. And as you can see, it's happened right at the time of the big correction that we've just had of 53%. So could this be the greatest buying opportunity that we've had with Bitcoin? Only time will tell. One of the other main reasons why I believe this is not a top of the bull market is when you look at the RSI here on the weekly chart. It's quite clear that when you look at the tops of the previous bull markets, they correspond with the tops of the peaks of the RSI. If you look even here, if you look there, quite clearly the tops correspond with the tops of these peaks here. And the peak that we got over here, if you line it up, was over here. That's certainly not looking like a top to me, and certainly the structure doesn't give a topping out structure that you would expect, like a blow off top. As you can see from here, these wicks that you see, this is not the structure that you would find in a blow off top here. So what I am expecting is that now that the RSI line has come so far down here, now this is quite unprecedented, because when you look at these peaks, they tend to come down from this peak to that peak. It came down to this level here, which is around about the 47 mark. When we reached this peak here, before that peak, it reached 53 level. But on this one, we've reached even lower than this level here, and that's at 44 level. So it may well be that we're creating the fuel to go much, much higher in a big, unprecedented way. Only time will tell, but certainly it's nothing to be worried about that this is lower than the other ones, because look, this one was lower than this one, and this one is lower than these two here. So you can read whatever you want into it. Some people get very concerned about this. I'm not really concerned. What I am really looking forward to is the next peak. If you take the emotion and heat and the stress out of the market and just zoom out on the bigger picture like the weekly or the monthly, you'll see that we're actually much in the launch pad for price of Bitcoin to go much higher here. So certainly this is looking very bullish in my eyes when I look at these charts here. So for Bitcoin, I've made my case. I'm certainly expecting the price of Bitcoin to finish this week, which is tomorrow, higher than this level here, which is at $45,500 mark. So I'm expecting this price to push up here. Even if it doesn't, well, we just have to wait and see what the response is from the general investment community. Will they push the price lower, or will they actually take this as an opportunity to buy and then push the price higher? Only time will tell, but certainly my expectation is that we will go between today and the end of the evening tomorrow and have the next candle start here above the $45,000 mark. So this is what I'm really looking to in the next 24 to 48 hours. Very, very critical. Keep your eye on this, as well as on the 4-hour chart, this trend line here. Very, very important. I'm just waiting for this breakout anywhere around here. That's what I'm expecting. Yes, it can get rejected from here and go further lower. That's definitely a possibility, but my expectation is that we're going to go up towards the $48,000 mark before we double bottom here on our way back up. A quick look at the Ethereum chart, and what we find is something very, very interesting. We've now got our first red monthly candle with Ethereum after the start of the bull market back in October last year. So again, as we mentioned with Bitcoin in the many videos before, we had 7 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles, and we've not really had that in the past. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, and this has been unprecedented. So the chances and the likelihood was that we were going to get a correction on the 8th candle here. So we've now got our red candle, and it seems very reminiscent. This candle here seems very reminiscent of this green candle here. And that was really the prelude for the next phase of the final part of the bull market. So only time will tell if this is going to be the same thing here, but certainly people would think of this as very bearish. Yes, there's a rejection of higher prices. This long wick tells you that there isn't much appetite for higher prices at this moment in time. So this is what we call a rejection of higher prices. And if the candle's on the lower side, like here, then we would say that this is a rejection of lower prices. But what happened there? We went lower. And this really, I think, is just the correction that we needed to take the heat out of the situation so we can refuel, recharge for the next leg up. So that's what I'm expecting in the next few months for Ethereum to really take off. I think for the Ethereum, the correction may not be over, although it looks like it's bottoming out. But certainly, I do think that this level is very important. In between these two candles here, these are the support and resistance lines here. And that would bring the price to around about the $1,800 mark here. So there is a good probability that we're going to come back a little bit lower with Ethereum before we make the charge upwards. And the reason why I say that is that if you take the Fibonacci retracement from the base here to the top of the current candle, you can see quite clearly the 61.8 is right on that level here, 1738 to 1868. So 1800, I think this is definitely on the table. It may not come back down, of course. We're talking about probabilities. There is a strong probability, I think, that the price of Ethereum is going to come back down to the 1800 level. I don't think the correction is over yet for Ethereum. I hope it is, because I'm wanting it to go higher, of course. But we have to be realistic, take the emotion out. It's not what we want, it's what we think the charts might do or the price might do. And this to me tells me that the price seems to want to come back as a base back to the 1800 level before we move to the upside. Moving on to my favorite assets, and that is the Bitcoin miners. The two that I've been looking at are Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Blockchain. And this is the monthly chart for Marathon. Very interesting what's happening now. To me, this looks like really the greatest opportunity that I've seen in a chart for a long time. And if it plays out, really, this could be an absolute fortune to be made here. Now, I could be totally wrong. Certainly, I'm accumulating as much Marathon as I can get hold of, simply because this is my conviction. Please don't take this as financial advice. You have to do what you have to do, and you have to take a wider research and look at it yourself from a wider perspective before making any decisions. I can only give you my perspective, and as I've said many times, I could be totally wrong. The first time I presented this chart was when we were over here, point at around about the $5 mark. I think it was this neckline around here I was talking about. And the reason why this was important was that it created this cup and handle. And I said at the time, this is a few months ago now, but I think November or December, that when we break this neckline here, that is the time to jump on board. Certainly, this is when I started buying Marathon holdings, around about the $5-6 mark. Now, the interesting thing here now you find is that we're now creating the picture that we created over here. We are now creating on a larger time scale here. What does this look like to you? If we take it from there, what is this forming? This is an even bigger cup and handle. Just like we did here, this was the handle part of it. Look what happened after that. Exactly the same thing is happening here. So what can we expect over here? Certainly my target, as everybody knows, as I've mentioned many, many times, is over $900, which is over here. So certainly what I'm expecting is that once we get back to the neckline over here, let me just clear this out first. Certainly I'm expecting, you can take the neckline from here if you want to, that we've created a double W pattern here, or a neckline of cup and handle. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's repeating the pattern from down here on a larger time scale. And certainly I'm expecting that when we come to this neckline up here, which is at around about the $44 mark, we're currently at $20, so it would need to double just to get to this neckline here. But I'm not waiting for that. I've been accumulating here. I'm accumulating as much as I can of Marathon here. because my expectation is that once we break the neckline here, we will be going to this target of 900 plus. And if you work that out, that would be from this, just this neckline, that would be an increase of around about 19-20 times. So you're going to 20x from this neckline. And currently from there, that would present an opportunity from today's price of $20, 41x. So only time will tell whether this will be realized. But this is why we're in this space. We are investors, we are speculators. We expect to make our fortune from the crypto space. But I have to keep on coming back to saying the same things, that, you know, please do not take this as financial advice. This is just my interpretation of the charts. And if you want to buy Marathon or Riot Holdings or some of the other cryptocurrencies that are on the market, you can't buy Marathon and Riot on the normal exchanges like Coinbase and what have you. You would have to go to the Etoro exchange, and you'll find the link to the Etoro exchange in the description box below all of my videos. If you go to the description box, you'll find the Etoro exchange affiliate link that I have with them, and then you'll have access to all these assets. Again, a similar picture with Riot blockchain. What we formed down here, the cup and handle here, we're forming exactly the same thing over here. So if you take it from there, you can see quite clearly we've gone to the cup. We've now been forming this handle here, and I would expect we're going to the races up here. Again, very similar targets for Riot Holdings. I would expect them to be going around about the 900 plus mark as well. So keep an eye on these assets, very, very important. And if you have invested in Riot and Marathon over the last few months, you may be showing a loss like I am currently now on my previous investments. I started at a lower level and I'm still showing an overall profit, of course, but from the accumulations that I did over the last 4 to 6 weeks, I'm showing a loss. But these are the opportunities that you have of accumulating, and this is what I'm doing here. Okay, on to our wisdom bite for today, a very quick one, hopefully, and that is very relevant to today's market, with all the correction that's going on, with all the panic and the impatience that people are showing out there and losing their positions and losing their investments entirely at the wrong time. I needed to just bring people back to reality, what I have been preaching for many, many months now, and that is to have patience. So today's wisdom bites is all about resetting our mindset to be patient. I just want to say a few things about this wonderful quality. Very few people have it, and it can cost you a fortune if you don't have it. And that's why I wanted to mention it today. And these are the things I want to just bring people's attention to. The first thing is that the most important things in life do not happen overnight. They require time and patience. Example, real friendships don't occur within a few minutes or a few days or even a few weeks. Success in your career takes months and years. Building a successful business takes years and hard toil and a huge dose of patience. And yes, making money requires patience and time. I want to appeal to everyone's good nature here and say that please learn to be patient and don't look for instant results and instant gratification. And the example I want to give you is that instant coffee will never taste as satisfying as a well-brewed real coffee. Along the way, if you can learn to be grateful with patience, you'll be adding the cherry on the cake. Some of the most satisfying things in life cannot be reached instantly or within a day or a few months. Some things can take a lifetime. So please learn this wonderful quality called patience. Otherwise, you'll end up creating an emptiness inside of you. To achieve your true potential, your true greatness, and indeed your true happiness and true wealth, will require true patience. And if you really want to practice it from now on, you need to make a decision today that you will be truly patient in order to allow your true greatness to be revealed over time. My own reality is that I've been waiting 4 years for this current bull run to actually come to an end. It began at the end of the last bull market 2017. Just as important as patience is knowing your goal, your target, your objectives, and knowing your vision of what you are aiming for your future. And we've covered that area previously, and no doubt we will cover that again in the future. And on the final note of this word called patience, as I've mentioned many times, money moves from impatient hands to patient hands. And currently, there has been no valid reason for anyone really to be impatient and lose your investments, because your investments will be picked up by the patient hands, the ones who are smart, the ones who know the true meaning of this word called patient. I know people ask me to do videos on a daily basis, and it's not something I can do because it's not needed really. Here at Wisdom Bites, we look at the bigger picture, and I present the bigger picture on a larger time frame, as you know, weekly basis at least. Sometimes I try and get a second video in, and I've just been very, very busy over the last few weeks. But certainly, every video has an up-to-date picture of exactly where we're going. We're not here to make decisions on a daily basis. Certainly, I don't make any decisions on a daily basis. My picture is always on the longer term. The vast majority of my portfolio is invested for the long term. And the next time I make a decision there would probably be at the top of the current bull market. And we'll have the signs for those nearer the time. So there's no need to panic. There's no need to be worried. There's no need to be biting our nails for a new video from me anyway. And there's plenty of other people who do daily videos. And, you know, in one video, they're saying the market's going to go up. The next video within the same day, 3 or 4 hours later, they're saying the market's going to go down. And it's just, for me anyway, that's a recipe for confusion. It's a recipe for sucking people's emotions into the market when it's not needed. So for me, here at Wisdom Bites, we take the bigger picture and we're calm, we're relaxed, we don't have any stress. We're just going to go and sell towards the top. Nobody can tell the top, but we will be more or less at the top of the market when we take our money out. So I hope that reassures everyone that really we don't need to be getting impatient or emotional about the current situation with Bitcoin. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. I hope you found value in all the chart analysis that I did, as well as the wisdom bite at the end here. If you found value in the video, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you want to leave any comments, questions or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below. And until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.